So I encourage everyone to watch a video called The Manipulated Man by Esther Villar. Really good talks about how women operate and female nature, things like that. You know, it's easy to get bitter. It's really easy to get bitter because we go through so many experiences. So many bad experiences. I had a girlfriend who I was at the store with her, and this was kind of back when I was just getting red-pilled, when I was just turning the corner towards the red pill, and I was naive. I was in a bad boy phase. I had watched a bunch of PUA stuff where it was telling me how to be a bad boy, telling me how to like show a girl that I'm different, and show a girl that I'm like serious and I'm a bad boy or something like that. Show her that you're a man or something like that, right? So it's like whenever you look at PUA stuff, it's always like, you know, how to change, how to portray yourself as something that you're not. It's never just be yourself. You'll be fine. And I don't know if that ever even works anyways. Does that ever work? Just be yourself? Maybe you should just be yourself. I don't know. But you know, for me back in the day, I don't think I've ever had a time where I was just being myself and I attracted girls. I mean, maybe I'm not that good looking of a guy. Maybe I don't have that high social status. I don't know. There were times when I did have high social status in high school and stuff like that. You know, I didn't really have to do much to attract girls. And at the time, I didn't realize that girls would hit on me because of my social status, because I was on the basketball team, because I was popular. I didn't know that at the time. It took me until after I graduated high school and I didn't have any more social status. I didn't play college basketball. I wasn't on the college basketball team, to realize that, oh, they were hitting on me because I had social status. They were hitting on me because I was a step above all the other guys, right? And I've had friends in the past who said they said the worst thing you can be is average. You know, I had this friend who was like constantly into self-improvement and constantly talking about how, I want to improve, I want to change, I want to improve. And it's like, man, why don't you just relax and enjoy life? But you really can't, in a way, because I've done that. I've just sat back and just, quote unquote, be myself, been myself, enjoyed life. This whole hippie idea that, man, the universe will give you what you need, it's not true. What really happens is you just waste years. If you don't put something into action, you don't improve and you don't get anything out of life. You just kind of stagnate. And I don't like that to be the truth, but it is the truth. It's just the way things are. But with that said, you know, if you take a step back and you do just coast through life in a sense, meaning you're not so focused on your goals that you don't have time to think about life and things like that. I've been there. I've been like, oh, I'm so full of my goals and things like that I don't have any time to even sit around and think about anything. Well, then there was a time where, you know, like I said, I didn't play basketball in college. And so I stepped back and I just said, hey, you know what? I'm just going to figure life out. I'm just going to think about this shit. I'm going to be a philosopher. I'm going to ponder stuff. I'm going to be a poet. And I did for about 2 years. And the conclusion that I came to was that, life was about God. Life was about God's purpose. And you can, if you look at it from a macro level or an abstract level, you could surmise this. You could say, well, there's suffering on the earth, which means there's a devil on the earth. There's supposedly a God in the heavens who wants to end the suffering on the earth, and he needs mankind's cooperation to do that. So therefore, life is all about cooperating with God to end this evil. That was cool for a little while. I bought into that for a little while. And I went to church and it was enjoyable and all these things. And then I moved to a different city where the church wasn't so enjoyable. And then I took a step back and I realized, well, wait a minute. Even if that's true, even if life is about fulfilling God's purpose and cooperating with God, even if that's true on a abstract, macro, evolutionary, macro, philosophical level, whatever, that still doesn't really help me personally. There's all these promises in the Bible that God's going to take care of you, this, that, and third. Well, it didn't happen. It didn't happen for me. I really thought that if I stepped back and chill and let God work things out, that it wasn't, that I didn't have anything to worry about. It wasn't going to, you know, waste my time and things like that. And really it did. It really did. It just, I didn't get anything out of life. Nothing happened. That's just a bottom line truth. So what eventually ended up happening was I was in church and like I was, you know, going that route, and I was thinking like, oh yeah, you know, God's going to take care of me. And there was girls that I was interested in, but they still didn't want me. And what I realized was that girls are just girls, whether they're in church or not. They have a nature, and their nature is to find a guy who's a suitable mate. And you could call this biology, whatever you want to call it. I don't like it. I don't think it's fair per se, or I don't think it's what's the word? I think that it's fun. I think it's leeching. I think they leech off of men, but it depends on your angle. It depends on how you look at it. If you're the type of guy who says, I'm the type of guy who's going to go out and work and take care, provide, because that's my role as a man. If that's your thing, then okay. Then like, yeah, that's cool. And if you think like I'm an alpha male and alpha males provide, I used to think that. I used to be all on alpha males. I used to be all like super hip on that and thought that I knew what an alpha male was and all this stuff. And it's just whatever you define it as. Whatever you think it is what it is, because really it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. What matters is putting in the work. What matters is putting in the effort, right? And I was so miserable trying to be this thing, trying to be what girls wanted. Why doesn't this girl like me? Why doesn't, well, what's wrong with me? What I got to be more alpha. It's like, oh man. And there's so many guys who are caught up in that. There's so many guys who are caught up in that mentality where I got to be this and I got to do this and I got to say this. And I would say even the guys who go out and they work and things like that, and you can do that. You can have, I've seen these guys walking around with this mind state like I'm the shit, you know, I'm the man, I go work, and it's like, bro, there's nothing really that amazing about going to work. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what you're kind of supposed to do. That's not like, oh, you're an alpha if you go to work. Like, that's what you're supposed to do, man. You're supposed to go to work and you're supposed to make money. There's nothing special about that. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you don't work, if you don't bring home the bacon, then there's obviously something wrong with that, and a girl is obviously going to be like, oh, what the fuck, what's wrong with this guy? You know what I mean? So the lack thereof in that scenario is really the problem. But so, I took a step back and I realized, well, this is female nature. It's fundamentally leeching off of men. They fundamentally want you to have your shit together. And it's like, well, why? So many people would be like, well, why not? What's wrong with that? Da, 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 da. Well, they use you, man. They don't bring anything to the table. They are the prize, man. This is their mind state. They don't. If you go outside and you look at girls, they don't have much going on in their head, dude. There's not much up there. I'm not saying you can't sit down and have an intellectual conversation with the woman. I'm not saying that women aren't ambitious, that all women aren't ambitious. I'm not saying that women don't have dreams and goals and things like that. I'm not saying they're not intelligent. I'm just saying, for the most part, they're coasting through life. They don't have to work hard. And this is why I mentioned that book, The Manipulated Man by Esther Villar. They don't have the checks and balances that men do. There's nothing expected of them just to have kids, and that's it. I'm telling you. And the irony is the feminist movement, which is so hateful towards men, actually at times they resent this. They resent that women's roles in society is only to sit back and provide pleasure to men and to sit back and have kids and things like that. They resent that traditional female role, right? They resent that. So it's like, I wouldn't say that I resent that per se. What I don't like is the fact that that's all they bring to the table. Like, if that's what you want to do, if you want to have kids and you want to be a homemaker, you want to be a stay-at-home mom, I don't have any problem with that if that's what you want to do. The issue that I have is up until that point, is how you choose men, is, you know, how you treat men, what you bring to the table. Because what I see, I don't see women going out and looking for men for the right reasons. I don't see men going out and trying to really just date men and fall in love with one man and be, you know, chaste and love one man. What I see is women sort of abusing men, you know, the system of men, right? They go out and they try a little bit of this guy, they try a little bit of that guy, they try a little bit of this guy, they try a little bit of that guy, and they're having sex the whole time they're doing it. They're sleeping with these guys. All right? I don't think that that's right. It's like, pick one or the other. And it's like, yeah, you can be a slut. You can go be a slut up until you know, finally feel like it's time to settle down. But I think that's messed up. I think that that is doing a disservice to your children. I think it's doing a disservice to men in general. Because what I don't want to think of the fact, I don't want to think of my mom like, well, my mom was a slut. You know, I don't like to think that. I wouldn't want to think that my mom was a slut. You know, like, why would I? And yeah, you shouldn't tell your kids that, and they don't need to know per se. But it's the truth. You were a slut, and I think that you're gonna damage yourself in some way or another. That's gonna come through in your behavior. It's gonna hurt you because women are emotionally attached to sex. I think from what, everything I've read, everything I've studied, women are more emotionally attached to sex, right? So and this is why they say, I think there was a study done that women have a hard time pair bonding if they've gone and slept around a bunch, right? I've noticed this to a pretty good degree. I think from what I see, what a lot of women do is they go have their fun, they go sleep around a lot, and then they find some nice guy who's steady, who's got a steady job, and they settle down with the guy, and they want to have kids with the guy, and they want to have a life with the guy. And I've had several girlfriends who chased me because I was a bad boy, because I was in that bad boy phase, because I learned how to be that bad boy, right? So when I was taking my time off from my goals and my pursuits, what I really learned was there is a way to the world. There's a system that is functioning here. There is an ebb and flow of how the world works, all right? There are certain rules and laws that people just, social, that people abide by. Now, we live in this society that is more and more damaged by this idea that you can't critique women, you can't criticize women. There are no laws saying women can't slut around, and they do. They've taken advantage of the system. Now, like I said, I wouldn't be that upset about it if they didn't use men, if they didn't abuse men, if they weren't hypergamous, if they were more fair about things. But they're not. They are often cruel. They don't have to try. They lie. Okay? This is what I noticed about this system. And this is why a lot of men get bitter. This is why a lot of men get disenfranchised with women in general. We don't like that women take advantage of us. We don't like that women are out slutting around. We don't like that women use us for our money. We don't like that women are hypergamous and they date us for a while and then they got something better that they're always looking for. We don't like that. We're fundamentally being used and discarded, right? And this is the irony, is this is what women claim men do. You only want us for sex, and maybe there are some guys who do that, but I question the type of guys who do that. I think only the top 10% of guys are able to do that, Because the rest of us, we just take what we can get. We take what we can get. Unless we really put in the work and we're constantly out chatting up girls, you know, we still kind of take. Men are naturally numbers guys, right? You know, a numbers guy is a guy who hits up a lot of women, tries to shoot his shot with a lot of different women, and he just takes what he can get. Women are naturally abundant. Women don't have to be numbers guys, numbers people. Women can get sex whenever they want it, and they know this, and oftentimes they do, right? So there's shitty things all across the board. Not only with the fact that we live in a gynocentric society, which uplifts women for just breathing, for doing nothing, right? So we live in a gynocentric society, right? We also live in a hypergamous society that has no problem with letting women, you know, jump from guy to guy to guy. I don't know how you would, you know, do a checks and balances on that. I'm not suggesting Sharia law. I don't know. It's just, socially, I think it has to do with the parents. I think it has to do with society. We let our women slut around. It's just what we do. We let our women slut around. It just is what it is. And so it's like, I don't know how to fix that. I think, you know, social checks and balances. I think a better parenting. I think we need to raise better, you know, daughters. But it's one of those things where it's like, that's just a shitty reality. Right? So that's another thing I noticed. The other thing I noticed was that, you know, you're expected as a man, you're expected to work. You're expected to bring home the bacon. You're expected, that's just what women want from you. That's what society wants from you, which is fundamentally makes men a utility. It makes you a utility, right? It's just the way it is, man. You're just a utility. And if she feels like you're not good enough in that respect, she can jump to a guy who's got a better income than you if that guy is interested in her. Right? So these are all things that I noticed. These are all things that when I was, you know, stepping back, and the thing is, it's hard not to get bitter. How do you not get bitter from that? How do you not, you know what I mean? Because we go through these experiences of having a blue pill mentality where, like, yeah, I'm gonna go find love and that's what it's all about. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, they care about my social status. Oh, wait a minute, they care about my career. They care about my income. When you get asked, what do you do for work, for the thousandth time from a girl who you're chatting up, you realize, oh, it's not just about me. It's not just about me loving her. It's about, you know, my status. It's about my career. It's about my income. When girls start to, you know, show you their true colors, and that blue pill narrative goes kaplooey and it goes out of your head, and you're just like, oh, okay, I see what this is about. Then you're like, oh shit, you know, and you see a girl and she's like, oh yeah, you know, or you're with a girl and she sees one of her ex-boyfriends, she's like, that's one of my ex-boyfriends, and you think, how many ex-boyfriends have you had? So you're just trying guys out because you like, oh, this guy's a bad boy, or this guy's, you know, rich guy, this guy's a emo kid, this guy's on the basketball team, and they're just trying out all these guys, and you realize they're just out fucking around. They're just wasting guys' time. They're leading guys on. They're making us think that they love us, and then they're leaving us for other reasons. And it's like, holy shit, this is a whole system they've got going on. And then you read somebody like Rollo Tomasi, who's like, oh, never put her on a pedestal, always got your shit going. And it's like, yeah, I guess if you can't be yourself and you got to play this game, it's like, dude, why can't we just be ourselves? Oh, you're not going to love me for who I am? Oh, I get it. I got to be something. I got to provide something for you. I got to be your masculine man who's bringing home the bacon that you're proud of at all times, that makes you so proud. And it's just like, dude, save all that noise. I am what I am. Like, I just am what I am. If you're not going to love me for who I am, whether I'm rich, poor, super handsome, fat, it's like, why do you guys get to be that? Why do women get to be that? Where it's like, they're like, love me for what I am, and they're this fat slob of a whale, and they're like, oh, men only want skinny women. It's an atrocity. It's a human rights, violation. It's like, what the fuck? You guys can be crazy, but we can't, huh?